All right, guitarists. The experienced group is probably the group that I struggle with the most about what to do. I know may not be a ton of us using these videos, and that's fine. But the other two groups are really based on here's a song or skill, learn it. Maybe the next week will be a different, or 2 weeks from now will be a different song or skill. Whereas you guys already know how to play the guitar fairly well. In some cases better than me. But yeah, I think that experience group, the advantage of taking guitar when you're already in that experience group is the playing together. And you know that I go on and on about that try and pick all the music based on what we can do together. Because the ability to play with another musician, it can't be taught by yourself. It's just that simple. So that's why I struggle most with this group, because I can make songs and say learn this, learn this, learn this, but you either A, probably know them, or B, you can figure them out in 2 seconds flat because they're not difficult, right? Once you get a strong sense of the instrument, other than speed, not a lot becomes difficult. And so I was thinking about that and thinking, what are we going to do this week? And I thought, I'd go back to scales for a little bit here. If you're bored, go find on YouTube, go find a backing track in the key of E major or A minor, and play around with scales and just solo over those. And I'm going to talk very quickly here about the two scales we know in two different places, and then how to identify where you should be playing. So I'm going to turn this down here. I'm going to talk about the scale in A major and minor first of all. So you will recall off of the E string, our A minor pentatonic scale. This is the one that we would use a lot here. And of course, it will be attached. Two things to think about. Number one is if you're using a pick, which you should be, try and alternate. Watch my picking hand here. Don't fall into the trap of just pressing down. Try and move that pick up and down so you're doing equal number of down and up there. And then the A major pentatonic scale starts, it's the same box, but it starts over here. And of course, we get the root note here and here and here. And with the A minor pentatonic scale, we had the root note here, here, and here. So one of the things about soloing is this idea of resolving. And when you resolve, it means it's almost like you've taken a trip and you found your way back to the starting point. And in this case, a note. So if somebody else is playing, and this is in A minor right now, that A is the resolution. So you're trying to resolve back to that A. So if I'm soloing, and if you can picture this going on in your head, I can resolve go back to that A, or that A. If you're ever just jamming along and you're not sure where you're supposed to get to, if you know what key you're in, get back to that note and resolve that little lick, and you'll find that most times it's going to work. You're going to get back there. It is a bit of a skill and something that your ear will develop to say, oh, that's where I need to get to. Okay, so that scale, that's great, but how can you kind of find yourself sometimes boxed in, pardon the pun, by that one scale. So what you can do is you can play that same scale but off of the A string. So you can move it around and play it in different spots. So this was my A right here, A minor. I can play that A minor off of an open A. I can resolve it. There's an A note right there. And then I can also move it up, and I could play the A minor scale off of the 12th fret on that A right there. The A major, sorry. When you're playing off of the A string, you remember the box there that says that goes 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3, and then it's 1 4 1 4. Well, that box shifts up to a, we'll call it a 2 4. You'll see from the tab, because I will attach the pentatonic scale major and minor on the A string, and you'll see that scale moves on the B string slightly. It is worth your time to try and practice that scale, the pentatonic major and minor, off of the E string and the A string in different positions that you can find. It's worth your time, because then if somebody else is playing and you don't want two people just doing this, you could be the person that's doing this, right? And I'm just playing that E major pentatonic scale off of the A string. And you're able to contribute and play along with somebody and not just have two people doing this. I don't expect there's going to be a stampede for the door to learn 1,000 different scales. There are a lot of guitarists who really enjoy playing scales, and a good lead guitarist has certainly more than 2 scales in their pocket and ready to pull any of those scales out in different modes and different places on the fretboard. But for the purposes of playing around with the lead guitar, go find backing track in E major, and if it's in E major, you can play from here on the 7th fret of the A string, or you can play from the 12th fret. You can also find one in A minor and play around with that one there off of the 5th fret. And you know what? It's really about playing around and learning a few simple leads from songs that you enjoy. If you have a song that you really enjoy without too difficult a lead, go learn that, and then you'll find when you're playing something else, you'll have these little tools in your toolbox to pull out, these little bits of riffs that you can pull out and play at the same time when you're just mucking about. So if you've got another guitarist in the family, have them muck about. You can play around, and hopefully that will improve some of your skills that way. Not a terribly difficult lesson. One thing you can go back to as well is the idea of major and minor keys to see what chords fit in each key, major or minor, and then you'll know if you're playing with somebody what chords are possibly going to be in that song. And some lead guitarists, they'll stick with one scale pretty much, and then others will move it around depending on what chords are being played. I've seen that a lot too. So if something is in the key of A minor, and as they're playing, they might have a little riff here that they'll move around. I'm playing that same riff in A, D, E. I just played the same riff but moved it around, with starting it as though it were a new scale in that new key. So, lots to mess about with there. There is a million tons of information out there on YouTube that's very much more technical than I would ever present to you. But you should definitely spend some time playing along with a backing track or playing along with another person, because that is a skill that I'm very sad we don't get to work on more in class. Okay, have yourself a great week. Learn some scales. PDFs will be attached, and ask me any questions at all in ESB. Thank you very much.